Hello everyone, I'm Kira.
And I'm Mika.
And welcome to another episode 6 to be exact, of our podcast. And today we tackle Stranger Things Season 4. Season 4.
It is Season 4.
Oh, it is Season 4. Sorry, I had to think about it for a minute. Part 1.
Yeah.
Okay, before we jump into it, what are we drinking? So I'm drinking, you guys, no tea today. I'm doing straight coffee, and I kid you not, I needed the coffee in order to get through this season. Personally, Kira's speaking here for me. So coffee is on deck.
Okay, and I'm drinking, what's that, H2O?
Some aqua, I'll take it.
Yeah, because I tend to drink a lot more tea.
Well, yeah,
than water,
soda juice.
But I kind of think because tea incorporates water.
It does.
That is the same thing. But my doctor's like, no, it's
you
not.
need a little bit of water. Yeah, you guys. She has been told that she must drink water. It must touch those lips. So
yeah. No, and I do drink water. I just need to drink more in moderation.
Oh yeah, in moderation.
More. I need to drink more.
Oh yeah, but you don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, you just drink more water, not in moderation. Drink it.
That's what I do right now, in moderation.
Yeah, I had to think about what.
That's true. That's what I do now.
Okay. Okay. So let's jump into it. We're gonna give our review on Stranger Things Season 4. The pros and the cons.
Yes, and for everyone who's watching this season, I think pretty much everyone knows that the season is going to be split into 2 parts. So the first season, part 1, was just released a few days ago on Netflix, and then I believe part 2 will be coming back, I think around July.
Yes.
And those,
I'm nervous about that.
Yeah, it'll be 2 hours. It's 2 episodes, and each episode will be about 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you just told me that. I said, oh my God.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the gripes. But I think we can should we just go through our list of what we liked about the season and what we didn't like?
Do you think we should give people just a brief where they finding the characters?
Okay, yeah. So
and we're not going to go into too much detail, but we can let people know where Season 4 finds our characters.
Yes, and there's quite a bit of characters. So we can start off with, let's start off with our Hawkins crew.
Oh, okay. Do you want to start off? Yeah. Okay, we can start off with Hawkins.
Let's start off in Hawkins, where it originated from.
Hawkins, Indiana.
Yeah. So our Hawkins crew, we got Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and Nancy, all still chilling in Hawkins.
Oh, Steve and also Robin.
Oh, yeah, Steve and Robin.
Steve and Robin.
That's gonna be one of my caveats, because you see,
it's hard to keep track of everybody this season. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Hawkins crew. Okay, so we have let's start with Mike and Dustin. So they're part of a new group called Hellfire Club.
Yes.
So still Dungeons and Dragons, but a little bit more elite. Would you say?
Yes, much more elite.
Yeah. So Dustin and Mike are part of the new Dungeons and Dragons crew. Then we have Lucas, who is on the basketball team now.
Yeah, still friends with Will and Dustin. Mike and Dustin. Oh my God, you guys. Yes. See, this character staying on track everybody this season was a lot. So yes, Lucas is still friends with Dustin and Mike.
Yeah, in Hawkins.
But now on the, basketball team. And trying to kind of branch out a bit, become a little bit more popular, like less nerdy, in quotes.
That's what Lucas says.
Yes.
So he's tired of being, stigmatized as a nerd or a geek. He wants to be one of the cool kids. So
yeah, understandable.
Yeah, so he's on the basketball team. And then we also have, oh my goodness, Max. Max is in Hawkins, too.
Yes.
Max is kind of still processing her grief from last season.
Agreed.
And we see her kind of isolated from Dustin.
Yeah, the Hawkins crew. Keeping to herself, obviously going through it.
Yeah, and her and Lucas, it apparently looks like they broke up.
No, they broke up.
They did, yeah, they did. Initially when the season starts. And then we have Nancy, she's still in Hawkins, and I think she's working for the... Is it the
school? So graduated, obviously.
Yeah,
working for the school paper. Yeah. Still this journalist, if you will, on the side.
Yeah.
Trying to find her way. Potentially looking to go to college.
Yeah. Her and Jonathan are in kind of a long distance relationship.
Not kind of, they are.
They are.
Hawkins, Indiana, California.
Yeah, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And then we have, you said,
Steve and Robin, still at the video store.
Yes.
In Hawkins, living their best life.
But it's such a cool job.
Oh, I would take it.
Yeah, I love.
If I could work at a Blockbuster or any video rental place right now and make my current salary, I'll do it, baby.
That was such a fun job. I wish they was still around, because
if I could bring that back in some fashion and make a living, that would be the ideal job for me.
The best job. So they're just living their best lives.
I don't know if it's their best lives.
Yeah, I don't know if it's their best lives.
But they're the video store where I would want to be.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go to we're gonna save Hopper for last. last. It's too much, you guys. But let's go to California where we find the Bayer family.
Yeah, so we have Joyce.
I love my Joyce.
Yeah, so it's so funny. Joyce is doing a telemarketing job.
Remote work. Look at that. COVID times, but it's not COVID, but remote working from home as a telemarketer.
It is so funny because you can tell Joyce is like really not feeling this job.
She don't like that job.
So Joyce is doing telemarketing.
What you do as a single mother, you do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do.
Yep.
And as we know, Elle is now living with Joyce, Will, and Jonathan in California.
Right.
So we see Will and Elle
in high school trying to navigate those waters.
Yeah.
What I will say is, like, they don't really show too much in regards to Will just yet in terms of if he's formed any friends at high school outside of Elle, and you don't necessarily know what his track looks like. He still seems like very much internal recluse.
Yeah, so like I
think there's a question mark. Maybe Will be expanded on a little bit more in part 2.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more with his character. That's gonna be one of the things I talk about.
Okay. And then Elle, high school isn't a good look right now. I mean, in terms of like being bullied.
Yeah, and that
we're gonna get to the characters, you guys, but oh gosh,
a lot.
Angela, bully to the 10th power.
Yeah.
And then what about Jonathan?
So we find Jonathan, like I said, navigating a long distance relationship with Nancy. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do after the break. Is he going to be going to the same college as Nancy? Does he have other plans going on?
Yeah.
We see him pretty much hanging out with a new character who was introduced this season.
Yes, and we'll discuss him too.
We'll discuss him too.
This stoner / friend who works as a pizza delivery man. Okay. And we should kind of note, you guys, Elle still is powerless when we find her, when we meet her this season.
Yeah, because the show technically has been off for about almost 3 years with COVID. Gosh. So it's kind of like fast forwarded, all the kids.
Had to.
Yeah, all the kids are like teenagers, sprouted up, so.
Yeah, and again, when we break down my piece, I feel like they didn't have to come back, but that's just me.
Okay. And then the last is Hopper.
Oh, look how I forgot all about him because his story plot.
No, but we're gonna get into it.
Oh my god!
But then we have Hopper in Russia. So I think, is that all the story plot so far?
Yeah.
Well, all the characters.
Where all the characters are. So we basically find them spread across, disjointed, different story arcs going on.
Okay.
That's enough, I think, for that synopsis. Giving them a little taste.
Yeah, we introduced where all the characters are.
Yes, fair. Okay, so we're going to jump in our pros and cons or what we liked and didn't like about this season.
And I'll have you start, Kira.
Okay, I'm going to give you a pro.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I made a list so I can try to keep track here. So a pro for me was I was excited to revisit my beloved characters. The ones we fell in love with on season 1. I'm always eager to see, okay, where they landed. What are they up to now? So that's my very first pro.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
No, I would say that too because each season I'm excited to see where everyone is going to be. You know what I mean? And the core of the show is based on, that genuine friendship and seeing how these kids, well now teens, navigating life on top of, all the other stuff going on in Hawkins and everything. So yeah, I see that. I was ready to get back to see what they've been up to.
Oh yeah, so that's a pro for me. I'm always excited to kind of see what they up to.
Okay, so I would say a pro. So we doing pro, con, or we just doing pro?
I mean, you give me a pro. What's one of your pros?
Okay, and so I'm just gonna say it right now because it's been all over the news anyway. A pro for me is Max's playlist. Oh. Yo, Max, I need her playlist in my life, and I think it's so ironic because Kate Bush, that's the what's the name of the song they play?
Oh, Running Up That Hill.
Yeah, Running Up That Hill, which is so.
Well, you gotta know the track.
Yeah, it's so crazy because that song right now is taking a resurgence. I think it's like #1 on Spotify. Everywhere.
And can I say something? What I do like about it is, of course, we already knew who Kate Bush was. But what I love, what a show can do very well, and it's been doing since the end of time, is being able to promote one's music. Like, people get introduced to artists they weren't familiar with.
Yeah, new audiences getting reintroduced to music.
Yes,
yeah.
and even audiences who were familiar with the work but forgot about it, or maybe not forgot about it, but revisited. Like, I realized I remember this track and how good it was.
Yeah, and music is like its own character this season.
Oh, I agree.
Without giving too much away. But that playlist, Max's playlist, that music, to me was
a pro.
A pro. One thing I really enjoyed.
If I can kind of add to that, I
Yeah.
feel like Stranger Things in general, one thing they've done well from season 1 through season 4, the current season, is the soundtrack in general.
The soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, so that's a pro.
Yeah, even the way the show comes on.
Oh, yes, very, yes. Okay, so that's one I can agree with.
Okay.
That's a pro I can agree with. Okay, so another pro, so let's go to cons. Okay, so you know how my first pro was like revisiting these characters that I've loved since season 1.
I know where you're gonna go.
You're gonna know where I'm going with it, right? Okay, so sadly, upon revisiting our beloved characters, a con for me is they are thrust into these story arcs that don't make sense to me at all, and the episodes were extensively too long with no real payoff, in my opinion. So of course these characters are gonna act their butt off as they normally do, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's so, and that's another thing. It's so many characters. So we already have our core original group, and then it seems like as the show is going along, it's added more characters. And in this season again, they've added a few characters.
Too many.
Yeah. And it is seeming disjointed.
Not seeming, it is.
Okay.
It is.
It's just a lot of story plots. So what I find myself doing is like, let's say we with Hopper in Russia, you go through that and then you bounce back to Hawkins, and it kind of feels like, oh, now how are we going to get all these characters back together? Because that's the objective.
Right.
Or you can forget totally what is happening with another character because there's so many stories.
Yeah, by the
going
time
on.
they go back, let's say by the time I'm looking at Will and where he at. By the time they go back to Hop, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about him in Russia. I forgot that he was there. Like, that's right, he there, and this whole other story is going on. I mean, it could have been its own show, if you will, in terms of like kind of some of the storylines, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think with that story, okay, I know you don't feel. Yeah, Kira.
No, go ahead.
No, I can understand the Russia.
No, I'm listening.
I know. She's looking at me crazy. I can understand the Russian story. I just think it's going on too long. Like with Hopper being in Russia and him being a prisoner and how he's dealing with that. It's just like, oh, okay.
Can I say one thing though? I feel like, and you notice, Mika, I love season 1, season 2. Season 3 for me didn't need to happen, but can we just agree that they didn't even need to bring in this Russian subplot to begin with? Like, the reason why everybody got to come back together is because you threw that whole Russia piece into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like now you got to figure out a way to make it make sense and then bring the characters back full circle.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm hoping part 2 will do that, because I'm kind of nervous because, like I said, part 2 is only 4 hours altogether. 2 for the first episode, 2 for the second. How are they going to connect everything, and how in that time frame are we going to get everyone back together?
Okay. Can I say something about what is a pro and a con for me?
Okay.
Since you just said that. So a pro for me is that, I'm not a fan of part 1, and we'll kind of delve a little bit more into that. Mm-hmm. A pro for me is that there is a part 2 coming in July.
Yeah.
That they can save me from the episodes that I've just bear witness to and really redeem themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm being optimistic.
Yeah, because to me, the show, I'm enjoying the show, but I get what you're saying. It is a lot of different stories going on. Like I said, in Hawkins, we're dealing with, the murders.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to do your takeaways. We can kind of pull from that, but
okay.
yeah.
No, because I just said in Hawkins, we're dealing with murders, right? We're dealing with kind of lynch mobs,
cults. There's a lot.
There's a lot. And then, okay.
So a suspected cult. You're done this sort of the Hellfire Club, aka Dungeons and Dragons group, is supposed to be this cult.
Yeah, well, back in that time, they thought Dungeons and Dragons was
a lot of stuff satanic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all the Hawkins stuff is a lot. And then Hopper, how we get him out of prison. We got the attempted prison escapes, the abuse, the Demi Gordon. We got a lot there. Then Joyce in California, then trying to get to Hopper, then
well, let's break this down a little bit more. We find out that a character that should be dead is now alive. Mm-hmm. So we opens with that, and you're like, okay, what happened there? Okay, potentially this person is alive and back. Like you said, we have Joyce and the Bye family doing their thing, and then Joyce finds out that Hopper is alive. You got that. Then we have one of our characters. Was it Murray?
Murray
returns, and you're like, okay, now why Murray back?
I love him.
I love him, but I'm just like, okay, now he back, he into the mix, and then now they got to get to Russia and try to figure out how to save Hopper, and then why is he in Russia? And then now we follow him in Russia in this camp and prison, and all the people he meet, and potential escape, and getting back to Hawkins, wherever. And then you have, yes, these uncanny, eerie, gruesome murders occurring in Hawkins that we assume, okay, this is upside down. We know everything been going on in this town from season 1, so not surprising. But then trying to figure out, okay, what is actually going on and who's responsible for these killings. And then, we going back now with Elle, semi disappearing, not getting too much, and while she going some shootouts in the midst of that, one of the new friends of the Hellfire group, Eddie, who is a character I do love, who was introduced this season, all of a sudden is responsible for these deaths. I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot to kind of wrap your head around.
Yeah.
So hear me out here. So I wanted to note my pro was you have a part 2. For me, you have a way to redeem yourself in part 2. I also put that as a con. Because for me,
so I agree. I like that. No,
you be cutting me off, girl.
Go ahead, girl. No, go ahead.
Well, no, let me just say why I said it's a con. Because you either have an opportunity for part 2 to do a very good job wrapping it up, or part 2 to me is going to do much of what the first part did. First few episodes did of this season is kind of drag out too much and not necessarily telling a cohesive story, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they may not wrap it up because we know now they do have a season 5.
Oh my God, you guys, Mika told me that there was a season 5 and I almost fell off my chair. I needed more coffee. No offense, because I just said, oh my gosh, it's not, in my opinion, let me see how it'll end, but I don't think it's necessary. And we've had this conversation before, and we can choose to agree or disagree. And there might be some listeners who agree with me. I loved Stranger Things season 1, hands down, for the most part. I don't think many people would argue that wasn't a great season from start to finish. Season 2 was a good season 2 for me. I pretty much could care less for. I'm not a fan as much as season 3, and especially not a fan of season 4. Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying, and to me, like I said, my favorite season is 1 and 2. Three was okay, but it started slipping into, like you said, a lot of stuff going on, where I think what worked well for 1 and 2 was like, it was a central story. You kind of stayed with that story from the beginning to the end, and it kind of resolved itself. I think sometimes too, when you get a show that's so successful and they get a little bit more budget, I always notice sometimes, which is good. It is good to get a bigger budget.
It's good to get a bigger budget,
but sometimes we get it gets too big where we doing a lot. And like you said, it's just a lot of different stories going on.
And would you agree, though? Is it fair to say, in my opinion, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, no. Is it fair to say, and would you agree that sometimes that people will forsake good storytelling in order to continue to tell a story that doesn't have to be told?
Yeah, I think sometimes you can, like I said, you can have a perfect season and you can just end the show there. But sometimes we see what happens is if a show is successful, you want to do more, and you do want to revisit these characters. I think sometimes it's fine to come back for another season, long as you can do it really well and keep the same themes that worked before. And I think for this show, what really worked well is that core group of friends, navigating. You had a good mix of comedy, navigating the upside down, trying to figure out what's going on there, and then just resolving it. I love all the characters, but again, I just feel like it's too many different stories, and it is disjointed. So I would hope for the next part is that we can just kind of get everyone together and kind of make the stories mesh or make sense.
Oh no, that makes sense. So you would agree that the episodes feel a bit overstuffed and the run times are very long.
Yeah, that was a con for me because I know they said they was only giving us a few episodes this season, but the episodes were like an hour plus. So basically it still was like a full season, but I didn't think they had to be that long. You could have got to, I think, the story you wanted to tell in a shorter time frame.
All right. Well, that's what good storytelling does, in my opinion. You can tell a better story in 30 minutes than you could in an hour and 40 minutes, in my opinion. So if you're going to have an hour and 40 minutes to work with, I'd rather be able to walk away with that feeling like, oh my God, this was epic, this was great, versus like, gosh, this show's still on? How many more minutes do we have?
Oh, no. I mean,
For me,
it was just.
I felt exhausted after every episode.
It was a marathon, to get it done. But yeah, I don't think they needed to be that long.
They did.
And to me, if you're gonna make them that long, like you said, we should kind of have some resolve, or it should kind of come together.
Yeah, you don't even need to have any resolve in a good episode.
No, just come together.
Well, come together, make it make sense. Do you know what I mean? Well, let's kind of jump back into another con I had. We were introduced to characters, in my opinion, that we didn't need. So I liked how you emphasized that we love that core group. A con for me was there were a lot of characters to me that I don't know why you were there. A good example of that would be, Hopper in Russia, Dimitri. We spent a lot of time with this guard. Dimitri.
Well, he was integral to Hopper's story. So you needed him. I get what you said.
We needed him because you created that Russia story. You get what I'm saying? So now because he's over there, you have to give us all of these characters over there that we didn't need to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
but I can see how you have to have them because of that.
Oh my God! You know what that made me think of? This is why they doing too much. That plane scene. Oh my God! I'm not. You guys, if you know, you know. It's just too much going on in the Russia piece of it, but. Dimitri is a character that I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it is too much, but now since it's there, we have to figure out a way.
I get it, but that doesn't mean it makes sense to me. So
I get what you're saying, but we have to figure out a way. Now Hopper's there, we got to get Hopper back.
Okay, so Dimitri was a character particularly didn't care for. Argyle, which was Jonathan's friend in the pizza delivery.
Well, you know what it is?
Maybe it was comic relief. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was added for comic relief, but the character was kind of too like... I don't know.
I mean, nothing against the character, but I was just like, again, another character that potentially had the potential, I guess, to be, comedic relief possibly, but I'm like, I'm not attached. You're there.
Yeah,
okay.
It seemed like, I don't know. It seemed like a typical role.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense? I don't know.
Yep.
Like
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. And then, oh my God, the jock Jason, who was literally... So Jason, the jock character, I guess we can say because it opens with a murder. We'll say his significant other meets an untimely end, and he goes on this quest now, and literally is the most annoying thing to me throughout the series. Trying to kind of figure out, go after who he assumes is responsible for these murders.
Yeah, see, I forgot about him.
His character, see? Okay, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But can I do a pro? I will say no.
Oh.
I will say a pro for the new characters is I did enjoy Eddie's character.
Oh, I was gonna say that.
Yes.
Eddie is a character that I actually did enjoy, and I'm glad to see him on the show.
Yeah, that's true. So we had some characters like you just listed who I didn't feel were really necessary to the story. But Eddie, I did love his character.
You're the only one.
Yeah, I love his character quite a bit. I think that's a pro for me.
Oh yes. So to me, pro and cons. What I will say too is. So the con is, yes, those characters that we don't need, but I guess you have to tell another story, so you got to put them in there. But a pro was, yes, characters that we did like being introduced to, and Eddie was one. Another pro I said was a little bit more character development on two characters in particular. So Max, I love that they gave her an opportunity to kind of really shine and highlight her story this season. It made me empathize and love Max even more. Then
I loved Max.
Yes, and then Erica.
And the funny thing is
Lucas's sister. A
lot of people don't like Erica, but I love her character.
Oh yeah. The one thing I said, I'm not sure if I told you this. I think so. For season 3, Erica was enjoyable for me. Lucas's sister was a big part of that story arc in season 3. I was happy to see her back this season.
Yeah, I think she does the comic relief
well. So maybe what Argyle was supposed to do, Erica did for me this season in terms of the comedic relief and timing of it. Yeah. Just to even kind of highlight the one scene where she's in the Hellfire. A club, the Dungeons and Dragons group. There's a pretty funny scene in which she's introduced to Eddie's character that it had me in stitches. Yeah. So that's a pro for me.
Okay. Yeah. So characters, there's a con, and characters, there's a pro.
Oh, definitely. Do you have another pro?
Oh yes. Okay. So I love the horror elements. I love the horror vibe for this season. I really do enjoy that. When I initially saw the trailer, I was like, "Ooh, yes, I love it. It's dark. It's creepy. The atmosphere looks so great." So I'm loving that this season. I'm loving the villain, Vecna. The villain is unbelievable to me. Just his whole aesthetic. I love at the end of it when we figure out kind of who he is. I think it takes a long time to kind of work
the
that,
last episode.
Yeah, to work that in and kind of figure out who he is and why he's there. But I do like once we figure out who it is. Oh, okay, that's cool. And I'm interested to see, where that goes and kind of the last, final showdown. So I get a lot of, without giving too much away, a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street vibes with Vecna, this villain. But I'm just loving that the kills are crazy. You know what I mean? Really scary. The season to me is scary. Is very creepy. So I'm enjoying that aspect. That's a big pro to me.
Oh yeah, I agree. I did list for one of my pros was that I like the fact that as a horror fan as well, it was scarier in tone. Mm-hmm. And I also noted that I do think for the horror fan who likes that genre specifically, you are going to like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
This go around, and I would agree. Vecna. Get him first for me. I didn't necessarily know like his origins, like why is he here, mm-hmm. like where did he come from? But I do think that is revealed obviously at the last possible minute, mm-hmm. in my opinion. But it brings it full circle halfway. Mm-hmm. I think they can do a really good job of like giving a little bit more part 2.
Yeah, well, he gave a lot. I mean, when he was telling, when he was
the monologue. But you want to know why he had to give a lot in that monologue? Because again, you were asking the same questions probably I was. It's like, who's Vecna? Where did he come from? Why is he present? Why is he targeting the people he's targeting? How is he targeting the people that he's targeting? Yeah. Why is he killing the people that he's killing?
So they explain it. It'd take a while to get there, but they explain it. And then hopefully, like I said, in the next part, we kind of, figure out where to go from there, what the next showdown is going to be. But I think he's amazing. To me, like he's kind of my favorite thing about this season.
Oh, okay. Oh no, that's good.
Okay.
Another pro that I had was
like,
oh no. I mean, I think
he's like, okay, next. That's your whole other season. Next, okay.
Oh no, but no, I would agree though. I do like that the scarier tone. Yeah, and I will say the kills are quite gruesome. Like for people who have watched the season, it was really jarring.
Yeah, like the body horror in this is like
crazy. Yes. And I know it did get some slack because people kind of highlighted that the way they killed like these teens, like these.
I mean, there's no prisoners.
Yeah, no hold it back. I wouldn't want to be like a victim of Vecna. Yeah. So, and again, you really don't have any control. Once he have you basically.
Yeah. So that's the pro to me. I've been enjoying him as a villain, great villain.
All right. One thing I will say, and I'm hoping that they'll bring more clarity in part 2 is, oh my God, but now I'm worried since you told me there was a season 5. So let me digress and go back.
Yeah, Kara, let's wait till we get there.
Okay. I'm gonna wait till we get there. Well, let me go to another pro I liked. The continued homage to the 80s. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that the series has never lost from season 1 to its current season, is the giving respect to that time period. So from the clothes, the music, the hairstyles, that's something that I had highlighted.
Oh no, that's great.
Not just even the music. I just like it takes you back.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such a 80s feel to it.
Right.
Yeah, that's one thing I fell in love about initially with the show.
Oh yeah, so that's on my list. Do you have any other pros or cons?
Let me see. So, no, I mean, my biggest cons, I think we kind of discussed. I can kind of recap them. Was just, like I said, a lot of things going on. So a lot of different, I think we both agreed on that, a lot of different story plots.
Yeah, are you reading your pros?
No, I'm just kind of recapping my cons.
Oh yeah, okay, go ahead.
Just recap.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, because I think I went through all mine.
Okay.
So like I said, my cons was, a lot of things going on, a lot of different story plots. How are we going to get everyone back connected? Because we just finding everyone at different places. And episodes, like I said, I think were a little too long. I just felt like we didn't need them to be that long. We could have kind of, well, some of them didn't wrap up, but, and I think those were my only cons. And then, my pros, I think I hit all my pros. So I said Max's playlist. Vecna is my favorite, was one of my favorite things about this season. Great villain. I loved his reveal of his origin story, the kills, and I think, like I said, Eddie, who's head of the Hellfire Club, is just a great addition to me. I love his character.
Oh, okay, great. I'll go through my cons. I did forget to list a pro, but I can list a pro when I kind of run this down.
Okay.
So my first con, of course, was, yes, sadly, upon revisiting these beloved characters, they just thrust into these story arcs that don't make any sense to me, or they rather feel, like I said, overstuffed, and the runtimes to me are way too long. The second one I noted was we're introduced to characters who, in my opinion, aren't needed. So there's just endless characters, in my opinion, and I felt like I only liked, out of all of the new characters, one in particular, Eddie. Number 3 for me was part 2 can put the nail in the coffin. So they could either...
Oh, and that was a pro for me, that I have hope that they're going to tie it.
Yes. So for me, that could be a con. They might do a worse job. And then the last 4 is that the con is that a season 5 is predicted, just because I don't necessarily know what season 5 will look like. But let me go through my pros. I want to be a little optimistic here. So my pro was, of course, I was excited to revisit our beloved characters that we fell in love with season 1. Always eager to see where they landed and what they're up to. You know, my number 2 was character development of 2 specific characters in particular for me, Max and Erica's character. Oh, and a sidebar, again, not necessarily needed, but Susie. We went back even in this season to visit Dustin, Susie. See, look at her.
Yeah.
Dustin, Susie, her dad, all her siblings, etc.
Yeah, so I get that's what you said, like these extra.
Yeah, it's just a lot. It was a lot going on, but I appreciated seeing Susie. Didn't need to see as much of Susie's family, but okay. Number 3 for me was that continued homage that Stranger Things pays to the 80s. Number 4 was that is scary in tone. I agree that the kills are quite gruesome for the horror fan in me as well. I love the villain Vecna, and I'm curious to see what he's going to be up to in season part 2 of the season. And then number 5 for me is that there is a part 2, and potentially there is a season 5, because you could actually do what I was optimistic for this season, was kind of making it from the trailer. I was really looking forward to it, but it didn't.
And see, how about we do this? Let's see your thoughts on this. So if it could have been a perfect season, you want to hear what I think could initially just been done?
Well, let me just finish my last pro. Almost done. And my last pro was like, for Elle's character, I think that it was unnecessary in terms of some of the stuff they did this season with Elle, but I did like understanding a little bit more of why she's 11 and what happened to those before her.
Yeah, okay, like the backstory of her.
Yeah, if this was the backstory, I appreciated having it. Yeah.
That is a great pro, because we did get a lot of backstory of how she, more so how she came to be with, what was his name, Papa?
Oh yeah, Papa, and then like in the first season, I always wondered with that number. She was 11, so I automatically always thought like, oh, what happened to 1 through 10?
Yeah.
And so for me, this gave a better origin story in terms of what happened to the other ones. So that was a pro for me.
Yeah, that was a good pro. Yeah. Yeah, I think if everyone was just in Hawkins still, just dealing with Vecna and not kind of spread all over the place, that would be, I think, good. You know what I mean?
Yes, and for me, I would agree. If you had everyone in Hawkins where they should be, you never did this Russian story arc, and then Vecna was introduced and they're still trying to figure out how to finally deal with the Upside Down, that would be a better story. I just feel like the magic for me personally was gone this season.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it can be rekindled. I'm going
to be optimistic. I'm not. You guys, I'm being honest. I'm not.
But I'm going to have faith that they're going to try to figure out a way to make it make sense to get everybody back together. And get it cohesive, because like I said, there just is a lot of stuff going on and a lot of different story plots. It's just really hard to keep track of every single
think about that. You're forgetting characters.
I know.
Forgetting where they were. Like, it's just a lot going on this season. Yeah, and what I will say, you guys, by the time I was done at the end, I felt exhausted. I tried to wrap my head around all of the story arcs.
You know what's so funny? I watched it. I just was watching it. I kept hearing you from your room like, what is it? It's a lot going on.
Oh yeah, multiple times. Audible speaking back to the TV like, what? is going on here? Why is this happening? Where did that come from? How did you do that? Who is this? Who is this? Who is this?
And then, like you said, planes and shootouts and, yeah.
Did you have any favorite scenes? I don't know if there's a favorite scene you could talk about without giving too much away.
Oh, yeah, my favorite storyline right now, just my favorite storyline, is kind of Hawkins' storyline. I'm just loving really being on Hawkins. I'm not
being in Hawkins with the Hawkins crew?
Yeah, and that storyline, I just feel like when we go into other sections, I'm just like Hopper's story, I'm just like, I really wanted just to get Hopper back to where he needs to be. It's just, that's a lot. It's kind of sad watching Hopper in Russia and what he's dealing with, and it's just going on too long. But the Hawkins storyline right now is my favorite. Like I said, with Vecna, that's just the best to me right there.
Oh, okay. No, I would agree. Hawkins, yeah. Until everybody get back to, like, center and focus, that's where I am too. Again, I'm not happy with what's going on in Hawkins either in terms of these different, even in Hawkins, these different story arcs going on. But I agree. If we could focus on, like, the villain, the upside down, trying to defeat the villain and the enemy and bringing people back together to essentially what was season 1 feel, that would be ideal for me.
Oh, that was a cool thing too. I love that we went back to the upside down this season. A lot of new things are introduced in the upside down. You know what I mean? Like, not giving too much away, more creatures. They seem to be able to be there longer.
Well, you got I think this was the first real picture of what the upside down fully looked like. Yeah,
and I was confused too because I thought before you couldn't really even go in there without a like a mask. You couldn't stay in there too long because then you get sick. So I don't know. So now you get what I'm saying.
But again, what am I thinking?
What?
It's almost like they probably can't even keep track and don't even remember that.
Oh, well, I don't know. It was.
No,
right?
it was. You're actually right, but I'm thinking, like, again, maybe you can now. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe you can now. But I did like revisiting the Upside Down, and I think it was kind of cool when we have certain characters back there, how it parallels to not being there. I don't know.
I'm trying to see where he was going with that. Yeah, I was like, what?
No, because I love how it showed it the people, what they doing in the Upside Down, and then, you know, it was
so I think what you're trying to say, tell me if I'm wrong, is that what it basically is doing is that you get an opportunity to see some of the characters in the Upside Down and other characters in the real world and how they both are, they're parallel one another.
Yeah, and I love the Upside Down because it is basically the same world, but it's just, you know, a darker.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. Again, I have questions about, like, how's the Upside Down even accessible? So again, these are a lot of questions that I physically have because, again, season 3 for people. I mean,
it seems like it's a lot of different portals,
right? That they introduced this season. Yeah. But that's all I got. I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything else to add.
I would love to hear people's comments. I know some people are not going to agree. Some people will agree. Like I said, I still have love for the show. I just wanted to kind of get back to its core, roots.
Yeah, and what I will say is, it's not that I don't have love for the characters. What I am looking for is the show I fell in love with season 1. So that is what I'm looking for still. Like, I feel like if you're going to give me a season 4, part 2, a season 5, bring back the magic. It was really hard for me to be invested in the story. I'm always invested in the characters.
Yeah, and it's just because with so many stories going on. That's why.
And the stories were pointless, in my opinion.
Yeah, you didn't need some of the stories.
You didn't need a lot of them. Yeah. I'm just saying, I have to put it out there. Yeah. But again, I just want to emphasize that I love the characters, always invested in the characters. I want the writing to reflect what was magical about those characters in season 1. Like, you can do it, Duffer Brothers.
Yes, so let's get back to getting everyone together. We do love, like I said, the horror vibe. We do love Vecna, loving that villain, and let's see where part 2 takes us.
All right, you guys, share your thoughts with us, social media. Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye.